Good morning. Shawn here with Accelerators Organization, ready for the next mentor session. Let's get this thing started. This is the hoodie I just sent out an information on the mobile app. If you want to order one of these hoodies, just shoot me an email. And here we go. First question comes from Jessica, and Jessica says, are free webinars a good way to attract clients? The background is I'm a holistic nutrition coach, and I see other coaches in this type of industry offering free webinars often. I personally would have a hard time divulging information on nutrition generically and for free. My nutrition plans for my clients are very personalized. Or is this a good way to get people into a funnel and use the webinar as a sales pitch? And if so, what is the best platform to use? Okay, very loaded question. There are 50,000 different things that we as coaches and mentors and consultants and advisors and things can do in order to build our business. It can be very time consuming. There's a lot involved in putting together a webinar and driving traffic to get people to register for the webinar, email sequencing, establishing the curriculum on the webinar. There's a lot that goes into it. And there's actually a guy in the group who is really high-level expert at this. His name is Jesse Navarro. And if you'd like a connection to Jesse to understand the costs involved in running and putting together an entire project like that, let me know and I can get you an introduction. The short answer is yes, webinars can be a good way to attract clients, but it's not the only way. There's lots of ways. One of the things that I did personally, and when I started Ask a Millionaire on Instagram, I didn't start it as a way to attract clients. I just basically was doing it for fun. I wanted to help people. I had a lot of business experience in some business failures, as well as a very good success story that I was just coming off of. And I wanted to share that knowledge and help other people in navigating all the things that I had to navigate to get through my failure phase, to get through the successful phase and grow a company from zero and in debt to selling the company for over $20 million and getting Inc. 500 awards and having a team of 100 people and all the leadership I had to go through, training I had to go through, and all the different financial things. I wanted to just share that knowledge. So in a way, as I look backwards of it, and that's how Accelerators Organization was started, was I just basically was sharing my knowledge, answering questions. Just like you, Jessica, the advice that I give is very personal in nature. I like to get to know somebody. Of course, there's some good generic advice that, lots of people can utilize in business or nutrition. But I also wanted to develop relationships. And in doing that, that's how AO was formed. I served enough people. I put in enough time of live streams and answering DMs and posting content, paying people to promote my page so I could grow my following, all the traditional things that we do to grow our audiences. And it is beneficial. I mean, AO, even though it's not a seven-figure business today, it hit about $500,000 this year. And nice little business, I love doing it, and I've done it all through social media marketing. And so I haven't done a big webinar strategy. I know that is something that's pretty popular, and I know it's something that when done correctly and consistently over the course of an entire year can be very beneficial, but it's very time consuming. Really need a team to help you with it, or a project person like Jesse to do it. It's very time consuming. And so, yes, it can be a good way, but it's not the only way. What I would say is, and this is something that I've struggled with AO, is next year, actually this year, I did implement an advertising strategy for AO this year. I did Google ads, Facebook ads, we were good for SEO, and Unfortunately, all of my marketing efforts produced zero results. I spent over $60,000, literally $60,000. Oh, it hurts even just saying that. Can you imagine how much great wine I could buy for $60,000 because I'm a wine collector? But I spent over $60,000 testing to see if traditional marketing was going to bring in new members to AO, and it didn't. And so I've had to now rethink my entire strategy of what I'm going to do next year in 2022 to start trying to find my niche client like you and get them into AO. I know that marketing on Instagram works, so I'll continue to do that, and I'm gonna do that even more. But I want to get to a place where my advertising and marketing that is on autopilot can start bringing in 40 to 50 members per month so that I don't have to spend so much time on Instagram and social media to promote the group. And so building an audience is a very time-consuming thing. If you're doing it yourself, you have to learn how to create content in the form of static posts as well as video and reels and then stories, doing live streams, putting together a content calendar, getting people to sign up for your emails, creating an email marketing strategy, which means you need to be a great copywriter. Do you feel the weight of all that work just to get that done? So my suggestion is as soon as possible for your business, try to figure out the easiest and most cost-effective way to build a relationship with a potential customer, a prospect, and then what is the process to convert them into a paying client. And depending on the goal of your business, Jessica, is this just gonna be a hobby for you, or are you trying to build a company? If you're trying to build a company, remember, as a nutrition coach, are you gonna be limited by the amount of time that you can provide services for your clients? There's another girl in the group that you might want to talk to. I've had this conversation with her. Her name is Kristen, and she might be a little bit farther ahead than you in the journey, but you guys are both on the same journey. Get with Kristen, and I've kind of opened up the idea of her becoming more of a business than just a service provider, just a health trainer or a nutrition coach, getting to think bigger of building a business and a company as opposed to creating a job for herself. So I know this is a lot of information, but the answer is yes. Webinars can be great. Sales funnels can be great. Email marketing can be great. Text message marketing can be great. We just have to think strategically of how we're going to do it and how we're going to make the best use of our time, okay? At some of the conferences that we do, the workshop, I know in March, I could deep dive a little bit more into this type of thing. It's kind of hard on just answering a question, but marketing is very, very complex. And generally speaking, unless we are a unicorn, which I am not, only people that are really, really unicorns can do it all. They could set up the sales pages, do their own copywriting, get the graphic design of the page done, do the email marketing, everything, all the videos, everything. It's a lot. So keep those questions coming. I like that question. Okay, the next question comes from Alana, and Alana says, during COVID, a lot of new players have entered the online beauty industry. With that being said, they have price cut like crazy. Any ideas on how to navigate the new playing field and still make a profit? I've had to follow suit and lower prices for now to get enrollments. The background is I do online certification beauty courses. Okay, Alana, my last business was very similar in that a lot of players entered the marketplace and tried to compete with us on price. We stuck to our pricing of what we knew we needed to charge in order to make a profit. And then I looked at what could make us better than everybody else. Was it industry experience? Was it reputation? Was it how easy it was to do business? Our processes, our teams? What could I do to be innovative and compete against somebody who might be a couple dollars cheaper? Starbucks costs more than Dunkin' Donuts, and people still go to Starbucks, right? Apple costs more than some things. That might not be a good example, but there's always going to be positioning that you can do as a brand We want to be very careful of not getting into the commodity-based businesses like Amazon, where we're just competing on price. There's a book that I would recommend maybe reading around this. I might have recommended this to you in the past. I'm not sure. It's called Blue Ocean Strategy. In Blue Ocean Strategy, when I read that book, I was going through a lot of the same things you're going through. And it taught me how to think innovative and different to set myself apart from that competition, and created a blue ocean. A red ocean, which is they use as an example in the book, a red ocean would be a commodity-based business, and where you got a bunch of sharks in the water and they're attacking each other and there's blood in the ocean. Instead of swimming in that ocean, I just decided to go to a different part of the ocean where it was all blue, clear waters, and be my own unique business. How you can do that, I don't know. That might be something to take a look at with a consultant of some sort, maybe Dan Abate and his team. Really good at finding unique strategies. I think I've introduced you to Dan before. But yeah, commodity-based businesses is a very tough world to live in unless you are the big player and can compete on volume. So something to think about. But be careful playing the price war. I would find unique and innovative ways to stand out to where I could still get paid what I need to in order to have a profitable business. Okay. Next question comes from David. And David says, how do I instill good work ethics in my team? I have a team member that leaves at 5 p.m. and always does the bare minimum. Any suggestions? The background is I hired my first team member about 9 months ago. She mainly helps with clerical activities, setting appointments, and with follow-up calls. She's smart, and I know that she has potential, but she does the bare minimum and always leaves at 5 p.m. on the dot. I don't know why that bothers me. It bothers us because we want everybody to work as hard as we do, and we want everybody to care about the business as much as we do. And the reality is, listen, is she doing the job that you hired her to do? So if she's doing the bare minimum, is the bare minimum what you pay her to do? If she is doing the job, she shows up on time, while she's at work, she does the work that you want her to do. She takes her breaks, 2 breaks, 3 breaks, whatever it might be, lunch break, and leaves right at 5 o'clock. Remember, that's what you're paying her to do. You're paying her to be there from 8 o'clock a.m. to 5 p.m. If she does everything that you want her to do within that time, man, that's a great employee. That's an amazing employee. Like Kim, my house manager, man, she shows up after 7 o'clock, even though I want her here at 7 o'clock, but she's been with me for 3 years. But I'll tell you, right at 2 o'clock or right before, man, it doesn't matter if she's 30 minutes late. She's leaving right at 2 o'clock because that's what time she's supposed to get off work. And I'm okay with that because she does what I need her to do. You know, she's kind of like family. She takes care of my dogs and my cat when I'm gone, and she's this and that. And I know that there's more things and better things that she could do, but she does what I need her to do. I don't need to build her up to be her own entrepreneur and motivate her in life. Her bare minimum is what I'm hiring her to do. And some days she does a couple extra things that makes me really happy. Some days she's a little bit lazy, and that's okay. But the bottom line is she does the job. So I wouldn't be, my advice is to not be so concerned that you've got an employee that shows up on time and leaves at the end of the workday. Be more concerned with their attitude during the day. Do they fit the culture? Are they doing the job satisfactory? If you want her to work past 5 o'clock, you could say, hey, listen, Mary, I would like you to work past 5 o'clock. Well, that's new employment terms. And if I was Mary, I'd be like, okay, how much more are you going to pay me? And so I love that you asked this question, David, because it's so common that entrepreneurs want to hire people that are going to go over and above and beyond and are going to work long hours and do what it takes. And the reality is, man, if somebody shows up at 8, does their job, leaves at 5, that's what they're getting paid to do. This isn't their business. This is a job to them. So my role as a leader is to make sure that they're efficient, that they're productive, that they're doing all the work that I need them to do, and I'm not having to do that work, and I'm not having to micromanage them. That's a great employee, okay? If there's any more on this that you want to talk about, feel free to ask another question because this is good. But another thing I want to talk about is even that's one side of it. But as I also mentioned, do you have core values for your company? One of the ways that we can make sure that we, what's the word you used? That my team has good work ethics. Remember, you're the person that hired her. So if you hire somebody and they don't have good work ethic, you're the person to blame. I know that hurts, doesn't it? Think about it. You're the person that interviewed them, told them about your company, what you expect, got their buy-in, hired them, and now you're going to complain that they don't have the work ethic. You hired the wrong person or you didn't train them right. So we have to look internally and say, what did I do wrong to where I hired the wrong person? Or are you confusing work ethic with you just want more out of her and really she's doing her job? So these are some things to think about. Think about that. Ask some more questions if you need to. But very common emotion. Okay, the next question comes from Eric. And Eric says, what are ways to have our team members reprimanded when they are not doing what is expected of them without them feeling like they are threatened with their position? The background is we are in the business of giving people their homes back from the invasion of rats. We have daily huddles, and I bring up information and concerns that will help our techs give written copies as well. I've let them know what is expected of them, and I have done write-ups too. The problem is I find myself going in circles at times with the same issues being brought up. Our standard is 3 write-ups, and your future is free. Okay, so hey, this is welcome to People Management 101. It is very important to have a system in place of what is expected of the team member. When we hire them, we want to teach them our core values. We want to make sure that they understand our core values and agree on them. That if they're taking this job, that they agree that they fit the core values of our company. We want to explain what their role is and what their duties are and ask them, do you think that you can do this? And are you willing to do this? Of course, when they're getting a job, they're going to say yes. So that way, one of the things that we can do to make sure they don't feel threatened, Eric, is we don't want to threaten them. What I like to do, in the beginning days of running my business, I was a little bit more like, it's my way or the highway, like either do the job or you're out of here. But as I progressed, and some people were cool with that and gained my respect, and I respected them, and we built great relationships. And other people quit because they thought I was just a jerk and left. And I was the person to blame, which I probably was. But here's a way to do this in a non-threatening way. Let's say you hire someone, you explain what's expected of them, they say they can do it, and you say that every day at 5 o'clock, I want you to send me a text message that says I'm done with the day and I'm leaving. Well, they don't do it one day. So the next day when they come in, I want to say, hey, John, I want to talk to you for a second. Can you come into my office or can we go here, whatever? And we have a private conversation. Hey, John, just wanted to check and see if everything is okay. Is everything going okay in your life right now? Are you good? Like, is there anything I need to know about? And traditionally speaking, they're going to say, yeah, everything is great. Okay, I just want to make sure that you are okay. Are you sure? Is there anything going on in your personal life or here at the company that's not going good? And if there is something, that second time you ask them, and Eric, you've seen this process in the leadership events, so you should know this pretty well by now. They're going to say, okay, and then let's just say everything's okay. Okay, so cool. Well, yesterday, you didn't send me a text message at 5 o'clock. And one of the duties that is part of your job is to send a text message at 5 o'clock. Did something happen to where you couldn't send a text message? Did your phone break? What happened? Oh, no, I just forgot. No big deal. Okay, cool. Well, listen, it's really important that every day at 5 o'clock so that I can check off and make sure everything is okay with everybody and that you're safe and you're sound, that you send your text message at 5 o'clock. Can you do that? Is that something you can do? Yeah, of course I did. Okay, and you're willing to do that? Yes. Okay, cool. Just want to let you know. Awesome. Well, the next time it happens, now you can go back to John and say, hey, John, want to talk to you. Is everything going okay? And you repeat the process. Hey, listen, I want to talk to you again. Yesterday, you didn't send a text message at 5 o'clock. Can you explain why? I want to make sure everything is okay. At some point, if somebody continues to disobey the rules and the processes that you have set forth and they know that it's important to you, now they're basically being insubordinate. They're basically saying, I don't believe in that process. I don't want to do that process. So there's two ways that you could go into this. One is, why don't you ask John, hey, John, you're not doing this process that I have set out. Sorry, let me get my monitors back on here. You're not doing this process that I have set forth. Give me one sec. The lighting was better. You're not doing the process that I have set forth. So obviously, do you not like the process? Do you not agree that this process is needed at the company? And they pretty much, if they have already been disrespecting you and not doing the process, hopefully they're going to speak up and say, well, yeah, I just don't see the reason for it. I don't like having to send that, at 5 o'clock each day, whatever. Well, cool. So let's talk about this, John. For me, it's really important that gets done because I want to make sure that the safety of our team is first and foremost. I want to know that you finished your last job in the field and that you're okay and you're on your way home. So that's important. Do you understand why that would be important to me as since we work remote, that you send that message at 5 o'clock? It's really important. It's not necessarily about micromanaging you or babysitting you. My altruistic reason of knowing this is that my team is safe. Do you have an issue with that? Because obviously we're having this conversation now for a second or third time and you're not doing it. So now that you understand why this is important, can you do this every day and just get it done? There's lots of things in the company that I don't like to do, but there's a reason we do it. Like I don't particularly like cleaning up the rat poo each time I go out to the job. It's part of the job. And so this is what I do. So I do it. There's lots of things in life I don't do that I don't like, or that I do that I don't like. So can you do that? Once again, so I'm going to write you up that you didn't do this process. I'm putting it in your file. No big deal. If you can't do this or you don't want to do it, let's have a conversation right now and tell me that whether or not you want to do the job. Do we have a bigger problem here? What's going on? And I want to that's called leading with empathy. I want to understand why John is not performing the role that I want him to, that the company needs him to play. One of the things we can also do to make things less threatening, Eric, is to take it off of me. Me. Blame the company. The company really needs these things to be done in order to be efficient and profitable. We want that as a company. You want to work at a company that's profitable, that is going to pay your pay and is going to be around, right? And the company, we really need to do these things. Why is it that you don't want to do this? And then another approach you could do, Eric, is say, hey, listen, John, you don't want to do this. You don't like this. I get it. What would you recommend that you do that accomplishes the same thing so that it can be done? Like, what alternative do you have other than just blatantly not doing the part of the job that we want you to do? What would you recommend as a replacement? Is there another process that you might want to set up that could be better? And see if there's some ideas that you can get from your team members. At the end of the day, if somebody doesn't like the job, they're showing you because they're showing you they don't like the job because they won't do the job that they were hired to do and trained to do. You're going to free up their future. But sometimes team members can come up with some better ideas to help our processes. So we want to lead with empathy. So those are some ideas, Eric, on how to make it less threatening. Now, listen, I also, in reading your background here, remember that daily huddles are not the time for you to be assigning tasks and doing those. The daily huddle is for the team, not you. So if you are, as you said, I bring up information and concerns that will help our techs, and I give written copies as well. The daily huddle is really more for a team member to see if there's anything outstanding that they are having issues with that might require a one-on-one meeting after the huddle. But the huddle is not a preaching session. It's not a daily thing where you're telling people what's going wrong and what's going right. And it's really for the team, not you. You want to be able to let the team members let you know if there's anything that needs to be addressed. And can it be addressed really quickly with 1 or 2 sentences? And if it requires a longer conversation, then you'll sidebar after the huddle and have that conversation. So I would be careful to make sure that it doesn't seem like in your daily huddles that you're talking at the group. It really should be more where the group, it's a group involvement, participatory thing. So that could be something, we want to get the team involved as much as possible. And that helps with daily huddles. Okay, hope that helped. Okay, the next question comes from Jenny. And Jenny says, should I switch from an LLC corporation, S corporation to a sole proprietor? The background is my business was originally set up as an S corp. At that time, I was running the business as a part-time hobby while working a full-time job. I'm now looking for ways to cut back on spending in my first year. I spoke with my CPA, and there's about staying as an LLC versus switching to sole proprietorship. He explained that while it was a good idea at the offset, given the thought that ZSB would really take off and make a substantial amount of money, ZSB really does not make enough money to justify the expense of the S Corp at this time. So his recommendation after seeing the past few years' performance is to shut down the S Corporation and run the business as a sole proprietor. He suggests filing a certificate of dissolution with California, and I will need to file a final return with the IRS, which I can do when my CPA files a return. So I'm asking for a second opinion. Okay. You know, there's a little bit of contradiction going here, Jenny. In the past, you ran it as a hobby, so it didn't have that much income. Well, now you're doing it full time, which probably means that the income is going to go up. So if he is giving you a recommendation that based on you not doing much business in the past, you should become a sole proprietorship, that doesn't have anything to do with now you're doing it full time and you're going to make hopefully a lot of money next year. So that's a weird recommendation by your CPA. So yes, I'm glad you got a second opinion. Okay, so why do we have LLCs and corporations versus being a partnership or a sole proprietor? The number one reason is protection and liability protection. What you have to ask yourself and your attorney, not your CPA. I would not get legal advice like this from a CPA because this is legal advice, not accounting advice. The accounting advice is an LLC S corporation and an LLC and a partnership are identical as far as tax purposes. Sole proprietorship is almost the worst thing from a financial perspective, as opposed to an LLC or even a C corporation if your company is small enough to be a C corporation. So there's a lot of red flags in what you wrote, and maybe there's some other dialogue. But the first question I would ask you from an attorney perspective, and you should probably ask an attorney about this or other people in your community who are instructors like this, what kind of liability protection do you need? The reason we set up a company, LLC or corporation, is to protect us and our personal assets in case somebody sues us, in case we kill somebody, in case we poison somebody. So if you are making any type of recommendations in your business that could potentially create a liability, let's say, for instance, you put together a workshop in your house, or you put together a workshop at the beach or some location and somebody gets hurt, slips and falls, who are they going to sue? They're going to sue you. So are they going to sue you or a company? Things can happen, and that's why we take worst case scenario into play here. And so we would want to talk to an attorney and say, do I need a corporation to protect my personal assets? My guess is, and I don't want to give you legal advice, but my guess is going to be yes. You want to have an LLC or a corporation filing as S status. Now, I know that there are more expenses from a corporation perspective than an LLC. And so that's something you could talk to your CPA and say, hey, listen, what's the cheapest form of business for me to be, but I do need to have a corporation or an LLC? What's the cheapest way to do this? The fact that you've already got it in play, I can't imagine it's more than a couple $1,000s at most a year for you to have a corporation. I would worry more about bringing in new revenue than saving $1,000 at this juncture. So I would want your mindset thinking abundant, make more money. It's okay to be, fiscally responsible, but I would ask the attorney, if I have an LLC or the corporation, what is the difference in cost? But I think legally, I would ask my attorney what kind of business entity I need to have from a protection perspective. I really think knowing a little bit about what you do, you host events, whether it's at somebody else's place of business or maybe you do an off-site type of thing. If you have the chance that somebody in a worst case scenario somehow gets hurt, they could sue you, and you want to protect yourself through a corporation so they can't come and take your house and your car and your personal assets. And that is the purpose of a company as opposed to doing things as a sole proprietor. Okay, food for thought. So talk to an attorney. We don't have an attorney. Actually, when I watch this replay, I'm gonna tag Michelle Adams, and she might be able to help you with this as well, and maybe have a conversation with you on this as well, okay? All right, next question comes from Robin, and Robin says, do you recommend sending holiday cards to potential prospects, business connections, and current clients? Thank you so much. Background is I'm an artist, and my company is Art for Calm. Okay, personal choice. I love Christmas cards. I don't send out Christmas cards. I like getting them, and I know they're part of a great way to keep in front of your customers and show appreciation. So it can't hurt. It's a touch point. It's a way to keep in front of somebody. So you could send out emails. You could send out text messages. You could do phone calls. You can send gifts according to like the Giftology, which is a book, Giftology. Send out gifts of appreciation, holiday cards, personal thank you cards. It could be a lot of different things. It can never hurt to show appreciation to your clients that you're there for them and thank them for their business and wish them a happy holiday. So I think it's great. But it's a total personal decision. I don't think there's any wrong or right answer to that. Okay, that was the last question. That is today's mentor session. So I hope you guys have a great day, morning, or night, wherever you are in the world. Jump into the portal today, ask more questions. As soon as there's 6 questions in the portal, we will get this process started. And remember that you're always going to, if you ask a question, every time a mentor answers it, you're going to get an email with a link right to the YouTube channel to be able to listen to it so that it doesn't affect your business time, and we make it as easy as possible for you to get answers. Okay? Thanks so much. Have a great day, and I will see you soon. Peace out.